All right, well, we might get underway. Thank you very much for coming. Over the past month, the Fuel and Energy Committee has reviewed the implications of Julia Gillard's new tax on mining on a range of things: the budget, the economy, jobs, investment in the mining industry, and of course on states like Western Australia, Queensland and New South Wales. We had previously been reviewing the implications of the Henry Tax Review and the resource super profits tax. Our report here today, which we're tabling today, comes to the conclusion that despite the recent changes made by Julia Gillard, this new tax on mining is still a bad tax, it is still bad for the economy, and it is still bad for jobs. We're very concerned about the way in which this tax was negotiated exclusively with three big multi-commodity, multi-project, multinational companies at the exclusion of 99% of the mining industry. We're concerned that Julia Gillard is not being upfront with the Australian people about the impact of her new tax on mining, on jobs, on investment in the mining industry, on states like Western Australia, Queensland and New South Wales. We have come to the considered opinion that this tax should be scrapped immediately because it is not in our national interest. As we are releasing this report here today, Julia Gillard is in Perth, and we think that Julia Gillard should be asked a whole series of questions by someone, questions that she's been ducking for cover over for the last 30 days. Where is the $10.5 billion in revenue supposed to come from? How much of it will come from Western Australia? How much of it from Queensland? How much of it from New South Wales? What are your commodity price and production volume assumptions that lead you to the view that this tax will raise $10.5 billion? What is the impact on jobs and investment in the mining industry? Why haven't you asked Treasury to do a proper formal assessment of the impact of this new tax on jobs and investment in the mining industry? Even Kevin Rudd did that. And why will you not allow Treasury to release information about what will happen to revenue from this tax beyond the forward estimates? We know that Treasury has done the work. We know that Treasury is in a position to release the information about commodity price and production volumes. We know that Treasury told us during our inquiry that identifying how much of the revenue will come from Western Australia, how much from Queensland and how much from New South Wales would be an easy piece of analysis to do. So very clearly it is the government that has made a decision not to be upfront with the Australian people about the impact of this new tax on mining. So in concluding, this committee considers that Julia Gillard's new tax on mining is still a bad tax. It is still bad for jobs, still bad for the economy. It will have a bad impact on Western Australia, Queensland and New South Wales. We think that the way this tax was negotiated was completely inappropriate. It was negotiated by a government that was in a rush to come up with a quick political fix so they could get themselves to the next election, rather than by a government that is focused on the public interest. Before I conclude, I would like to thank very much the committee secretariat, ably led by Penny Robinson, for the sterling effort in supporting the work of the committee, in particular over the last few months as we've been going through this phase of the inquiry. And with those few remarks, I'm happy to take some questions.
Senator, I mean, how significant are the findings of this report, given that it's a coalition-dominated committee?
Well, we have taken our work with this inquiry very seriously. We had Dr. Ken Henry, the Treasurer, the Secretary to the Treasury, before us for a total of 5 hours. And people can make their own judgments. But at the end of the day, the facts are that, one, This is a massive new tax on the mining industry, which will have a significant impact on the budget, on jobs and on investment in the mining industry. And the facts are that Ken Henry was not allowed to answer a whole series of very basic questions about the impact of this new tax on the budget, on jobs, on investment in the mining industry, and particularly on states like Western Australia, Queensland and New South Wales. If the government didn't have anything to hide, why would they not have allowed Ken Henry to answer those questions? And finally, the facts are that the government negotiated this new tax exclusively with three of the biggest mining companies in Australia, excluding 99% of the mining industry. In doing so, they gave those three big mining companies an unfair competitive advantage, courtesy of government decision-making.
The committee look into whether the mining industry could be paying more tax without threatening the future of the industry?
The committee considers that this is a bad tax which will have a bad impact on the economy and jobs and which was negotiated in a completely inappropriate way. There are very comprehensive taxation arrangements in place for the mining industry now. We consider that it is important for the mining industry in Australia to be operating in a competitive environment as far as taxation arrangements are concerned. Very appropriately, mining companies at present pay value-based royalties on production, they pay a profits-based tax called company tax, and they pay a whole series of other taxes. Mining companies across Australia do pay a significant amount of tax, and the way this government has gone about introducing this tax was incompetent, it was reckless, it was bad for our economy, it had a serious impact on investment and on jobs in the mining industry, and whatever changes were negotiated in secret by Julia Gillard with the three biggest mining companies don't make this a better tax.
So you've made no other recommendations other than to scrap the tax completely?
Well, we've made a whole series of recommendations. I mean, if you look through the report, there's 11 recommendations. Our starting position is that this is a bad tax which ought to be scrapped. We also make recommendations about the way governments should provide transparent information in putting together these sorts of proposals. I mean, quite frankly, if this truly was supposed to be significant strategic root and branch reform, if this really was supposed to be a significant change to state federal taxation arrangements of the mining industry, then the government would have released either a green paper or a draft set of proposals for everybody to consider and to have serious consultation on. To come out the way they did and jump this on everyone without any meaningful prior consultation was just completely incompetent and completely inappropriate. And that is why the government ended up in the political trouble they did. I just point you to one thing. I mean, this government wanted to abolish state royalties as part of introducing the resource super profits tax, yet they didn't even have any meaningful conversations with state and territory governments about their proposals and the implications on them. This was driven not by a desire for root and branch and strategic reform. This was driven by the political interest of a government that was desperate to be able to sell a budget surplus over the forward estimates before facing the next election.
That's all right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.